Hello, everyone. Here's your weather briefing for Wednesday, November 3rd, and we've got some patchy fog and low clouds around today. We'll have a repeat of that tonight over some areas. Unsettled weather will continue through the weekend. We have our next storm moving in tomorrow. Rain and snow will spread eastward during the day into tomorrow evening. Precipitations overall, or at least for most folks, will be on the light side with snow mainly above 8,000 feet. If you're in the Sawtooth and the surrounding mountain ranges, a little bit heavier precipitation is expected. With the Aleutian Low continuing to spin all these waves off, we'll see several of these systems moving through over the next several days. And you'll notice we don't have much going on this morning. Some higher clouds spilling here into Idaho. The low clouds over the eastern part of our area are moving out. They're thinning out, and in its wake, we're getting some fog and low clouds developing. But you see off to our north and to the west, here's the Gulf of Alaska, the northern Pacific. All this moisture spilling over the ridge. We have several of these lows, and all these little lows spinning off the main Aleutian low out here across the Aleutian Islands. That's what's going to keep our weather unsettled. Most folks, the impacts from anything we're seeing the next few days will be minor, if at all. And when we talk about the patchy fog impacts, there might be a few spots that it's very dense for a very short period, very short distance, and then it's not really an impact otherwise at all. Now, we go into tomorrow. We've got the rain and snow moving in. We're going to have patchy fog in the morning in some areas. It'll be breezy in the afternoon. And again, any impacts really will be related to that patchy fog, or in the higher elevations, a few areas that we might see some snow, especially up on the higher peaks. As we go through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we do have a little bit of moisture lingering Friday in some areas over the east and up around the Sawtooth. The next storm moving in will keep us unsettled through the weekend. Speaking of that storm coming through tomorrow, here's how it will look. You'll notice we have a line of rain and snow showers moving in from the west late in the morning. This will spread eastward. This is going to be with the cold front for the most part. That shifts east as we go into the evening and overnight hours tomorrow night into Friday morning. The moisture really thins out. Early Friday morning, a few showers up around Lost Trail Pass, also up around Island Park, but those showers will be ending for the most part by the time we get to sunrise on Friday. So like I said, not much to be expected with that storm. There will be some moisture falling with it, of course. Going to today, though, we do have temperatures into the 50s in the lower elevations, almost 60 in Chalice, near 60 to above 60 once you get into the Magic Valley on in towards the Treasure Valley. Otherwise, 30s and 40s up in the high country. Temperatures tomorrow morning will be a bit warmer with that next storm moving in. We do have some winds developing, especially along the southern and eastern benches of the Snake Plain. Those winds will help keep the temperatures up in those areas, but once you get away from that wind, overnight lows will be in the low 30s and into the teens and 20s, especially in the colder spots like the Stanley Basin up around Copper Basin as well. There's those rainfall amounts for tomorrow. When the rain moves across the Snake Plain, don't expect a lot. But in the Central Mountains, that's going to be the focus of where we're going to see most of that precipitation falling. And in the Sawtooth and the surrounding areas, over 2/10 and maybe a few spots closer to a half an inch, maybe 6/10 as you move on up towards Limhi County, the Lost River Range, those areas, much lighter precipitation amounts expected. Going into tomorrow evening, with that moisture shifting eastward, there'll be some lingering showers around Stanley, Galena Summit, also across the Frank Church, but otherwise the moisture shifts into eastern Idaho towards the Wyoming border, and those areas really not seeing much, maybe just over 1/10 in the higher elevations of the Big Holes, Island Park, also over into the Tetons. There's the snow going with that, and like I said, snow will be generally above 8,000 feet. A couple of inches in the Sawtooth, the Pioneers, the Boulders, also up into the Frank Church. And for tomorrow evening, once that moisture moves east, snow levels will remain high enough, long enough that really the very highest peaks also into the Tetons might see a little bit of light snow with that as well. The other story is that wind picking up, and with this being a wet system and even wet snow on the higher elevations, blowing snow is not going to be much of an issue For tomorrow afternoon, winds across the Snake Plain gusting 20 to 25. You get into the higher elevations along the benches, also up in the central mountains, we're talking some gusts 30 to maybe 35, 40 miles per hour. And that trend will, at least in the central mountains, continue tomorrow evening. The stronger winds will be developing across the Snake Plain, generally from Pocatello back towards Craters on up towards Rexburg and Idaho Falls, and some of those gusts will be in excess of 35 miles an hour. Temperatures tomorrow will be a bit cooler in some spots, but with that wind, and we start to see ahead of the front anyway, some places along the 84-86 corridor will be into the lower 60s. A little bit cooler in the mountains, but still many areas in the 50s to low 60s tomorrow afternoon. It will be a chilly one Friday morning. Snake Plain folks will be in the mid to upper 30s in a few spots, but much colder over the central mountains. A lot more teens expected, especially in the Stanley Basin, the Copper Basin as well. Once you get down towards Bear Lake, it'll be right around freezing. For Friday, we'll be back down just a couple of degrees with some 50s to near 60-degree temperatures in the lower elevations. 40s and some of the higher peaks still only staying in the 30s for Friday afternoon. We are going to be a bit warmer Saturday morning with that next storm coming in. Temperatures, we're not going to move too much because we'll see an increase in cloud cover and precipitation. Stanley only seeing a high of 47 on Saturday, but most areas in the 50s if you're down low where a lot more of the population is located. And those trends continue into Sunday as well. And Sunday, it definitely looks a lot cooler. Some folks in the lower elevations will not make it out of the 40s. So once again, we do have some patchy fog this morning, and again tomorrow morning, our next storm spreads precipitation in with light amounts generally above 8,000 feet for snow. Rainfall amounts will be light as well, unless you're in the Sawtooth, some of the surrounding areas. Those folks could see anywhere between about 0.2 and 0.6 of rainfall or melted snow. Otherwise, unsettled weather continues as we go through the weekend and into the early part of next week. Have a great day out there, and folks, do please stay safe.